You know what's so fucking funny too? I had no idea it was that easy to storm a government office.
Well, that's that's the most shameful thing about it.
I'm like, I thought all of our money went into our military and our armed officers.
System.
What the fuck? I didn't know it was that easy. If it was that easy, I would have broken into the White House and fucking slapped Trump right on his fat, juicy ass. I would have got that duck booty and I would have cussed that shit super hard, baby.
But that's the thing is that even though there was kind of like that.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. If you are a first-time listener, you are in for a fucking doozy. This is the best podcast in the world. Every other podcast you listen to is trash. It sucks. Even my friends' podcasts.
Yeah, the only one that's I guess might get a little pass would be Tiger Belly then, right?
Oh yeah, I love shout out to the father of all podcasts, the man who actually got me into doing podcasts. Again,
aside from that,
yes,
everything else is garbage.
Bobby Lee, I love you very much. You are the best. You're the only person I know that has shat in his car more than 6 times in his whole life.
Oh my god, really?
No, this dude has shit in his car so many fucking times, like he can't hold his bowels.
Wow.
So he just poops.
Does he have IBS or some shit? Or
maybe, and a lot of other problems too. I love that man, dude. He's the best. This fool, like on his podcast, has openly admitted to sucking dudes' dicks. You didn't know this?
No.
So, well, I guess he kind of got molested.
Oh no.
Not by an older man though, by like one of his friends.
Oh no.
So he told this story on his podcast where he had like either a best friend or a really good friend from back at home.
Yeah.
And I guess, when you're a kid, you don't really know. You're kind of experimenting. You don't know what's really going on.
How old? Like what's
like elementary school age?
Okay.
Like super young. But I guess like they would pay like suck a dick or some shit like a game.
Oh my god.
And after a while, I think he was just kind of like, I don't think this is right. But he jokes about it, but it's very serious. Yeah. I only laugh about it because he laughs about it,
I mean, obviously that's a fucked up scenario, but what's even more fucked up is this sociopath of a friend that he has at that age where he's already plotting and he's that devious. I'm
telling you, but he goes through therapy and stuff to work his stuff out. But I think a lot of comics have these weird backstories.
Dude, humor comes from dark places.
Oh, for sure. This shit's extreme though. That's why I told that fool
that's pretty extreme. That's god awful.
Dude, I put this down right now.
Yeah.
Bobby Lee is the most gangster person I know on earth because he's the only guy I know that has sucked dick from a guy on purpose, but never went to prison once. And is still straight. That fool is gangster, dude.
Dude, that's crazy, bro. I had no idea.
Dude, if you just listen to Tiger Belly, it's some of the most insane stuff I've ever heard in my life. Like you would think. So I guess recently too, he had Carlos Mencia on his podcast, and I was listening to it this morning.
Yeah.
But they were recounting the story about how when him and Carlos Mencia went to Honduras, and it sounds so ridiculous when he tells the story, but Carlos Mencia is like, no, he's telling the truth. This is exactly what Honduras is like. It's fucking nuts because when Bobby, it seems like he's being extremely like hyperbolic.
Yeah.
But Carlos Mencia is like, no, this is some real shit.
Wait, so I thought there was kind of like that whole beef with like Mencia and like Joe Rogan and like Bobby.
Oh, Joe Rogan hates his guts.
Yeah.
But when it came to Carlos Mencia's stuff, Bobby has always said on the podcast that he was a mentor to him. So when Bobby was like a nobody comic, Carlos Mencia was actually the guy that was showing him the ropes, put him on the road with him, and he was very, very generous. So Bobby has only said great things about him. Joe Rogan, on the other hand, fucking hates his guts.
Right. I mean, but he has a legit gripe, right? I mean, the dude was fucking swagger jacking.
I wonder why, but the only thing that's odd to me about the whole Joe Rogan thing is that Carlos Mencia is not the first person to ever do that.
Yeah.
So why specifically Carlos Mencia? Also, because Joe Rogan has defended Amy Schumer. And Amy Schumer has stolen way more jokes than Carlos Mencia has.
And has reached bigger fame probably than Carlos Mencia ever has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but on like somebody was, I didn't see this episode, but people were telling me that Joe Rogan was like, no, like he was defending Amy Schumer. I'm like, that means that there's something deeper behind the Carlos Mencia thing that people that he's not saying and Carlos won't talk about.
Yeah, probably.
I bet you they were friends or homies or some shit. And I don't know, Carlos Mencia probably just nutted on one of his girl's faces.
Or in Joe Rogan's mind, he was just always that dude where it's just like, I want to kick his ass.
Yeah, but maybe he just didn't like him.
I just don't like this dude,
That's all the reason he needs.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the whole reason behind that shit is though. But hey, there was a photo back here. I just want to, just in case the homie sees it.
If you guys have not noticed,
So my buddy Tommy, dope artist, friend of mine. He's actually been on this podcast before. He makes some of the dopest shit I've ever seen in my life. And specifically, he had this Tyson DMT art piece that he did. Now, this one right here, there's somebody I know. His name is Nose Rain. Also, a great artist as well. Hey, I love you, dude.
It just wasn't matching the
I didn't
theme.
take your photo out because I don't like your art.
Yeah.
It's just, it was the odd man out.
Yeah, exactly.
You were fucking up the Power Ranger Zordon, the Zord.
The Voltron, man.
Yeah, you were fucking up the you know.
The Voltron vibe.
So I had to get rid of it. But that's just what that is. But check out Tommy's stuff. You could check out Nose Rain stuff too. It's really amazing. But I had to kick your shit out because it was fucking up the vibe. But today though, we're gonna talk. Oh man, there's so much shit that happened.
There's a lot of shit, man.
So last week we kind of lightly touched on this topic where people were asking, "Yo, you should talk about the attack on the Capitol in D.C." Right? So when I was shooting the podcast with Alex and Pat, it literally just happened that day, and I wasn't online. Like I wasn't really looking at anything. So I was finding out information about it as they were talking on the podcast.
Yeah.
Right, with the dude that was dressed as the fucking Trailer Park Braveheart, you know, the fucking guy with the buffalo hat.
Yeah.
When they were telling me that shit, I thought they were joking.
Yeah, yeah.
But literally, this dude had a cut off buffalo head on his head.
Yeah.
That is a fucking psychopath.
I saw it happening live as it was breaking out, and I was like, you know what? It's a sad day in American history, but I'm not surprised. You know, I am not surprised, especially with the guy. Who's the guy at the helm? Who's the guy who's instigating all this? Who's the guy who's, inciting this?
Yeah, so when I was kind of, looking into it, right? And the reason why I don't want to talk about it so quick off the bat is because I literally didn't know anything about what was going on. It just looked like chaos and mayhem. And so the first thing I looked up was, how the fuck did this happen?
What the fuck happened on Capitol Hill?
Right? And so then I was reading a couple of quotes, and when people say, because when I read certain headlines, I'm very skeptical about what I'm reading, just because whether you're on the left or the right, media will always sensationalize whatever they're saying or what's actually happening. So, the what people were saying was that it was because of what Trump said during a very specific speech. And I'm like, that shit, well, we'll see about that. And then I can't find the quote right now, but this fool literally said, storm the Capitol.
He said, dude, he said in his words, like, we can't be weak. We can't be weak right now. We need to fight. I mean, you even had guys like Rudy Giuliani saying trial by combat. What the fuck you mean trial by combat? What the fuck are you talking about, bro?
What, in the fucking 16th century, you
what the fuck are you talking about, man?
That's fucking nuts to me, dude.
Yeah. So, all that shit kind of led up to today, which was the first president in history to be impeached twice.
That's so fucking crazy.
Yeah,
dude.
and for incitement of insurrection, and that's exactly what it was. It was an insurrection, right? So it was a wild thing to watch unfold. And like, there's a lot of things to get into it within that, but I think kind of the one of the things that really bothered me a lot about the whole thing was like, everyone was obviously pointing out at how terrible the situation was, but then you had the staunch Trump reporters who were playing the whole whataboutisms again. What about Black Lives Matter movement and that riot? It's like, come on, man. That's a fucking completely separate thing, because the Black Lives Matter movement, the protests, the peaceful protests, largely were peaceful, were organized, was orderly. And then you had these rogue agents coming in. It was, and the rioting parts and the looting part, that was not organized.
Yeah.
That was just scattered and happening all throughout different areas. This was a different situation. They were on a mission. They went there for a purpose.
And they were galvanized by the president of the United States.
Exactly.
By something he specifically said. He's like, we should storm the Capitol.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be butchering the actual quote. I can't find it, but I read it earlier today, and I was watching the video where he said it. And I was, even for Trump, I was a little shocked.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about when I've said this before, when it comes to who he is and what he does. We could talk about, people love to talk about economics, right? They're like, well, you don't know what Trump has done for this country economically speaking. And I'm like, bitch, neither do you. You fucking don't know. You don't have numbers. Yeah. You just say broad things, just like I do a lot of the times too. And that's where I fuck up a lot, right? But besides all that, I can't be behind somebody, whether or not you could talk about, he's from, money, he knows business and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. We could talk about all that stuff at another time. But what is important to me when I look at somebody who wants to lead this country is somebody who understands how fucking powerful his words are. Yeah. And he doesn't get it. People keep saying he's a genius. I don't think he's a genius. No. I really do believe he says things
off the cuff, man.
Off the cuff with his emotions. Yeah. And he doesn't think about the actual consequences, such as this shit.
I mean, come on, man. He said to Pence, do you want to go down in history as a patriot or do you want to go down in history as a pussy? You can't make this shit up, bro.
That's a fire ass line.
You can't make that shit up. Like, this guy is fucking something else. And the craziest shit about all of this, what it's stemming from is the idea that there was widespread fraud in the election and in the voting process. There still hasn't been a single piece of credible evidence that has come out to substantiate those claims.
Of course not.
But people still run with it, and they will not listen to objectiveness. They won't listen to facts. Yeah, they won't listen to reason. And that's the part that's the scariest thing, man, because it's like, this might be kind of an introduction of what's to come. This might be like the prologue. You know what I mean? Because next week now we have the inauguration, and there's already talks about the Boogaloo Boys kind of organizing.
Oh, really? Yeah. Already, huh?
And those guys are like a militarized like guerrilla group. You know what I mean? And so you got the National Guard sleeping in the hallways of Capitol Hill. Like, they were saying, news anchors were saying, even after 9/11, it wasn't even like that. You know what I mean? Like, there was not that amount of security presence on Capitol Hill, even after 9/11.
You know what's so fucking funny too? I had no idea it was that easy to storm a government office.
Well, that's the most shameful thing about it.
I thought all of our money went into our military and our armed officers. System. What the fuck? I didn't know it was that easy. If it was that easy, I would have broken into the White House and fucking slapped Trump right on his fat, juicy ass. I would have got that duck booty and I would have cussed that shit super hard, baby.
But that's the thing, is that even though there was kind of like that whole idea of storming the Capitol, how underprepared they were for that, and how much they didn't organize for that. Can you imagine if it was a group of minorities saying that shot dead? Yeah, who were saying that we're gonna storm the Capitol? You think it would have been the same kind of response? No, the National Guard was sent in for the BLM movement. Where the fuck was the National Guard for this? Yeah, right. I mean, of course, Trump's not gonna call them in. That's his people. Yeah. He had no choice but to say what he said afterwards of like, oh, you guys need to go home and not do this type of shit.
Dude, I found out later on too, obviously, because I'm, and the reason why I'm kind of late with all this information is because sometimes it's hard for me to read this stuff. Yeah. Because last year when we were going through this stuff, I just sat in my room and I kept reading things over and over and over.
And it was fucking exhausting, man.
It was fucking up my psyche. Yeah. It was making me angry. Yeah. It was making me upset. Yeah. And there was an officer that was actually killed there too. Yeah. So we're having this conversation right now where I've heard so many times over and over and over that BLM is anti-police force, right? And it's all about Blue Lives Matter.
Exactly.
You guys literally mobbed the Capitol and you murdered a police officer with a fucking fire extinguisher.
The irony is just perfect, man.
Right?
It's just perfect.
And then even though this stuff is addressed, there's a lot of whataboutisms that come in. And mind you too, this also happened with the BLM movement when it was come to rioting, right? Because I had a big issue with that as well. I had an issue because I'm pro BLM, and there was comments that were saying like, well, we're not being heard, so we're just gonna fuck shit up. I don't agree with that. No, I'm not a part of that.
For sure. Exactly. That's what a reasonable person says. Yeah. That's what a reasonable person says. You can look at something that you support, and if you find something wrong in it, point that out, right? I said the same shit. I'm with it. I'm with the protesting. I'm with the movement. But the violence, the looting, there's no place for that shit. So why can't the same thing be applied here in this situation. If you're a staunch Trump reporter, I mean, not reporter, supporter, and you're looking at this shit happen, why can't you say, yeah, what happened was wrong? That should not have happened. That was an attack on democracy, like the core foundation of this country.
This podcast is brought to you by MATCHA. Do you hate the jitters and crash that coffee gives you? Well, say no more, my friends, because hundreds of thousands of people are drinking MATCHA, not only for the health benefits, but for the caffeine boost that lasts without the crash of coffee. You can mix it, have it hot, ice cold, or try it with your favorite juices and have fun with it. Remember, not all matcha is created the same, and Junbi has the highest quality matcha you can find straight from a farm in Japan, handpicked and curated to get you the best quality there is. No competition. To get 10% off your first order of tins and packets, go to junbishop.com. That's JUNBI shop.com and enter code GeniusBrain to get 10% off your first order. That's JUNBI shop.com, code GeniusBrain.
Instead, it's like, well, no, but look at what happened during the Black Lives Movement.
Yeah, why can't we find common ground in blatant stupidity? That's the crazy thing to me. When you see people who are a part of this nation, right? They go in, they storm the Capitol looking like trash bag hillbillies, right? The dude dressed in the fucking buffalo hat. Here's another alarming thing that people don't really think about, right? We've already discussed multiple times how when it comes to these type of organized groups, there's people who infiltrate it, right? We talked about Antifa, all this other stuff. You guys stormed the fucking Capitol with people who knew that this was going to happen. What makes you think for one fucking second there weren't people in that group that's there to hurt this country? This is not something that I'm like I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all.
Right.
But there was computers stolen with fucking physical data and information in there.
Yeah.
That is fucking nuts.
You know, they found bombs too. They found, and the FBI is not sure why it didn't go off, but it was legit bombs with timers on it. So it's like,
that's fucking nuts.
What are we trying to do here? Like, what are we really trying to accomplish here? Are we trying to start a revolution, or not? Are these people trying to start a revolution? Is that the goal here? Like, what? I didn't understand. What is the goal? What are you trying to do here? What is the purpose?
What's the end game?
Yeah, what is the end game?
What was going to happen?
Do you think doing this is going to overturn the election? Nothing is going to change. Like, you have to understand that. So with that in mind, what the fuck is the goal? What are you trying to prove? Are you trying to prove, based on your bullshit facts and your conspiracy theories, that there was widespread election fraud? I mean, the amount of fucking organization and colluding that needs to take place for that to happen on a national level, America's not capable of it.
It's insane. And you know what's funny too? Like, I kept seeing these small clips where there were people that were quote unquote whistleblowing, saying like, yo, these people are not counting ballots or whatever. But then I did which for me, when I was seeing that, I was like, oh, that's kind of fucked up.
It's so fucked up. See, it makes your gas come up.
Yeah, it makes me want to throw up. But, you know, there's a lot of people who are a part of the Republican Party saying like, listen, I wanted Trump to win, right? But the idea that you think that our system, like our voting system in America, is that bad. They're like, yeah, there's voter fraud that happens at a very small scale every time somebody becomes the president. Those people who have those ballots every 4 years, they're going to dump a few off here and there because there's some sick fucks who will do that. That's been happening since ever. But the amount that they're saying that he needs with 11, 12,000 is not around.
Right.
Either way, he would have lost. It doesn't fucking matter. So people won't even listen to that. Like, these are just facts. This is not something that people are just saying to, you know, bolster their side. It's just, these are facts. These are people on your political side that are saying this. So there's some type of reasoning for this. Take the L, move on, leave with grace. Have the people who loved you love you, and then that's it. That's all it takes.
Exactly, man.
He doesn't care about this country because you can see it in how he's behaving. Even when he addressed telling people to go home, the first thing that he said before telling people, hey, this isn't the right thing to do, he goes, oh, I'm so mad that there's voter fraud. I know, I'm right there with you. He still has to bring it back towards him. This guy's a level 50,000 narcissist. This is who he is.
For sure. The ego and the narcissism is out of control. And the saddest part about that shit is the group of people that he's duping.
Yeah.
It's blue collar workers and people thinking that he actually gives a fuck about him. You know, he doesn't. He does not give a fuck about any of these people.
Mm-hmm.
He only cares about himself. You guys are just giving him a platform to be able to, you know, kind of embrace himself in that way. And it's fucking ridiculous.
And you would read tweets from, you know, people from the far right wing side saying this was a protest. You know, when people, and there was the whataboutisms where they said when they were marauding and looting Target and Walmart, those are riots. This isn't a riot. You don't see people stealing shit, and then there's literally photos of people stealing podiums, computers.
That got listed on eBay, bro.
That got listed on fucking eBay. Yeah. Are you fucking nuts? Why would you write that shit? You know that's not true.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. And I expect people who are in high political power to be smarter than that, right? Like I said, I don't really have a side, right? This is why I'm very like kind of in the middle about
things.
No,
I have a side on this matter.
Oh, no, for sure. You know what I mean? So, but when I see this, it's like, when you have a public platform, right? You know that either you're a correspondent for whatever political view that you have, you can openly say these stupid things that are clearly not true. All it takes is one Google search, right? For you to say that the looting in Walmart and Target are riots and this isn't, blows my fucking mind. They found bombs. A fucking cop was murdered with a fucking fire extinguisher for crying out loud, right? They were destroying the place, wrecking it. Somebody broke into Pelosi's office, started taking photos in there, which that motherfucker's in jail now. You know?
Well, I mean, there's a big investigation to find the people that they're looking for.
Oh, because this stuff just doesn't happen.
No, for sure.
And there was clips of cops just letting them right the fuck on through.
And taking selfies with some of these people. So that makes you think like,
oh, this is
nuts.
How
deep does it go with this shit? You know what I mean?
I really do wonder.
Yeah. And the crazy shit about it is like the comparisons that these people are making. Like, look, I'm not saying the rioting and looting stores and small businesses right by any means. You know, that's wrong. My family's been on the receiving end of that. For sure, I have a gripe with that. But this is a different level. This is an attack on the country and the government and like our core principle, like what the country is built on top of.
And they want to compare this to like rioting in the streets.
Yeah, exactly.
That's apples and oranges.
Yeah,
this is way worse.
Yeah.
I know people want to say like they're both the same, and it's not.
Yeah.
It is absolutely not.
Yeah.
They showed a huge weakness, number one, in our national security. That right there for me as an American is frightening. You have to understand what that makes us look like as a country, that a bunch of hillbillies climbing a wall, they just went right the fuck on into the cap. That's all it took.
Well, you know what? Add another one to the fucking list, you know, with how things have gone in 2020 and now things bleeding over into 2021, right? I mean, Trump hasn't exactly done a good job of making America a leader, you know, and making America look like the country that it's always been. So it's just add another one to the list, man.
Dog, watching people climbing the wall in the Capitol was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. I feel like there was just these bunch of white people just climbing it up saying, I told you walls don't work. We can climb this shit easy, baby.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like the irony of the whole situation is just perfect. You know, and what a fucking terrible tragedy, but also what a perfect ending to like the end of Trump's presidency. Kind of like the culmination of it being a second impeachment too.
Yeah.
And so, man, it's been a really, really like draining and exhausting and disheartening.
And I'm so
show.
curious because obviously on this channel, there's a bunch of people who are trolls, especially the way I'm going to title this. There are people who are hyper pro Trump, hyper right wing, hyper pro Republican that are going to come in and say something.
That's fine.
Which is fine. Which is going to. Well, they're usually not fans of this channel. It's people who just have to say their piece.
Yeah.
They have to infiltrate, and put their piece in.
Right.
Which is going to be so. Because I want to know, like in my personal opinion, the first impeachment, a lot of people felt like it was a reach on both sides, right? So I can understand that. This second one, I want to hear what they're going to say because it's televised what he said. It's literally recorded about his words that caused an insurrection. So what the fuck is somebody going to
say? It's justified. They're going to say it's justified what he said because there is widespread voter fraud. Yeah, they're going to say it's justified. I mean, that's what they're falling back on. I mean, that is the core idea behind everything that's happening right now. And you know what? You got guys like Rudy Giuliani, you got guys like Trump, you got guys like Trump Jr. who are just provoking these people.
Yeah.
You know, just spreading fucking absolute lies and falsehoods and firing these people up. And it's like, yes, shame on the people for getting fooled like that, but also more so shame on the people who are in the position of power and have a platform to reach a lot of people to do this type of, I mean, it's just absolutely despicable, you know? And I fucking hope that Trump's ass spends the rest of his life in jail after he's out of office. Because it doesn't look like he's going to be, you know, forced out of office before inauguration. It's pretty unlikely, but I do hope, man, that these investigations that are going on lands his ass in jail, because that's what he fucking deserves.
Oh, dude, they would love his fat ass, dude. Like, I'm telling you, I'm talking about, he got the juiciest ass of all presidents that has ever existed. That fool got a dunk on him, dude.
Yeah, he does.
That fool got
his proportion is strange as fuck.
He has this weird like lean. Yeah, he got that Michael Jackson lean.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. It's like a magic trick.
But he got that Kim K booty in the back.
That guy is, oh man.
It's weird, man. Like, I feel like the state of this country is getting worse and worse, especially because now we're also dealing with this, and then we're dealing with COVID as well.
Oh.
Like the California COVID case situation is it's really disheartening. You know,
it's unbelievable, man.
And I probably addressed this before multiple times on a podcast, but I'm gonna just keep saying it again. Like, people don't really understand how scary this virus can be.
Yeah,
right.
Man.
And I understand, like, listen, I'm with you on the stuff that most people are going to survive this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But from my personal perspective, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have this perspective as well, in the 32 years I've been alive, right, I have never, ever, ever known one person that has died from the flu. Because people keep mentioning the flu. They go, well, more people get infected by the flu or whatever, but I have never known anybody that died from the flu. And I could count now on both hands how many people I know through somebody else that has died from COVID.
Yeah.
So that's the alarming part, right? I know people who have now had memory loss from it. I know a buddy who can't remember shit from 3 months ago. He literally can't remember shit.
Yeah.
Even now, like, it's been about a month and a half since I caught COVID. I'm still exhausted as fuck. I've never had these symptoms with the flu. Yeah. Like, you know me, like, I'm an insomniac.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm taking naps and shit. You just saw me chug a Pepsi, I'm still sleepy.
Yeah.
Like, this is like some weird shit to me. You know, like, I still don't feel the same. My brain is still kind of foggy. Like it's just such a novel virus, and people just don't want to take it seriously. And I'm on the side with a lot of business owners who are suffering. Like, I get it.
For sure.
But everybody does have to play their part so we can go ahead and just get rid of this shit as fast as possible. So I don't know. Like, I don't know the answers to this, but
nobody does. Nobody does. I mean, but that's the thing, is like, there is a level of sense and reason, though, right? Of like what seems like a practical approach, or not practical approach, but like practical things to do versus things that are not so practical. And the scariest shit about this thing is you don't know how it's going to affect you. You don't,
yeah, it's a gamble.
Exactly. And why would you want to roll the dice on that? Why would you run? Like, it's one thing if you're fucking betting it on red or black in Vegas.
Yeah.
Not on your fucking life, though.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, if you care that little about your life and other people's lives, then motherfucker, please walk around without a mask into crowded areas. Like this motherfucker, Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis. Yeah. This motherfucker really want to die hard, you know?
Dude, I didn't even know that Twitter was, or Twitter banned Trump from their platform.
Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, like this guy is on a roll.
You guys took away my Snapchat. Yeah. How am I gonna send my dick pics?
Exactly.
I had no idea. Well, because you know, when in terms of like looking up a lot of this stuff, there was a huge concern. People were talking about like online or internet censorship and how sometimes it's going too far. And one of the videos that I saw, and I had to look this up too, only because when I heard this, I thought it was really stupid because people were talking about it was an infringement on freedom of speech.
No, because Twitter's a private company.
Exactly. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, isn't that a private company?
Yeah.
Because I think from what I remember from high school, I think that only applies to government restricting your freedom of speech. So I actually had to look it up just in case before I said it on this podcast. But let me just read something out to people. And once again, this is going to get going to get kind of murky because obviously the Constitution was written since the beginning of this country. So the internet wasn't there at the time. Yeah. So there might be changes to this later on. Who really fucking knows? But I read, so University of Florida, a professor, Clay Calvert is a law professor at the University of Florida. And he says the Constitution actually is irrelevant here in terms of the banning of public officials, including President Trump, from Twitter. And that's because the First Amendment of the United States Constitution only protects us from government censorship, not censorship by private entities such as Twitter, Facebook, or social media platforms. So, you know, it's a little bit off in terms of the constitutional issue that's involved here. So if you read the actual part of the Constitution, it says that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So specifically Congress. So they're talking about a government entity. Right. Because this is a private entity, it doesn't really
They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Exactly.
They can do
it's like I get upset at TikTok all the time because my TikTok keeps getting taken down. Like, that's why I haven't been able to pop off on that platform. Like, every time I curse or I say an opinionated thing, they take my shit down. So I'm like, fuck this app. But I'm not over here, you know, saying like, yo, this is my freedom of speech. I'm trying to teach these fucking 3-year-old kids how to curse. Like, please let me get back on TikTok. This concept is so interesting. Like people, and once again, the stuff that I read on Twitter wasn't from some layman. It was somebody who was in the political realm that has that blue check mark on it. And they said that this is an infringement of President Trump's constitutional rights. And I'm like, aren't you in the political space? Exactly. How do I know this, a layman, and you don't know this?
Exactly.
Blows my mind.
Not to fucking mention, it's like, bro, he's the president of the motherfucking United States. He has every single news media outlet. He can speak to people in masses.
Blows my mind.
He doesn't need fucking Twitter. He doesn't need Facebook. He doesn't need Snapchat. He has the motherfucking news outlets.
Yeah.
If he would be willing to, you know, give him the time of day, but he thinks they're the enemy of the fucking state and the enemy of the people. But this guy does not need those platforms to communicate.
You're good.
He's just a fucking idiot. That's the problem. That's the fucking problem.
You know, and at first too, I remember when he was tweeting out stuff, I used to think to myself like, yo, man, this fool got a funny ass ghostwriter. Right? This is just him.
This is a funny parody account.
Yeah. I was like, yo, man, this dude got somebody writing some funny ass shit. Yeah. Like, he knows what he's doing. And then as the president of the United States, he starts addressing people through his speeches and all these public platforms where it's him standing and words coming out of his fucking mouth. I'm like, oh shit, he's writing this himself. Like, this is just him.
You know what I wish this motherfucker would do though? That he would create these fucking ghost accounts.
Oh.
I wish he would do that, dude.
I once saw President Trump's dong. It was huge. It was amazing. It was tremendous. I love it. Tremendous.
And him trying to get back on the platform, you know? I wish he would do that.
Dude, freaking, there was an article that I read, and I got a little disappointed and a little angry because, so I guess out in Florida, you know what a manatee is, right?
Yeah.
Manatee. They're like the freshwater. Well, seawater or freshwater. I think it's freshwater.
Are they freshwater?
Shit, I don't even fucking know. But they're like cute little mini elephants in the water.
Yeah.
And they just
huge. They're still pretty big.
They're not the size of an elephant though.
Yeah.
But they're like one of the most gentle creatures ever. Yeah. But I guess some Trump supporters they scabbed up a manatee and they wrote Trump on its back.
Why?
I don't know.
What the fuck is the symbolism behind that?
Like, and who the fuck was gonna see this? Yeah. Like, your support of Trump on a fucking manatee.
Well, how did you even fucking catch it? First of all.
Well, there's really slow. Like, if you swim, because when I went to Florida, I saw people just go next to a manatee and they just float next to you. They're that fucking gentle.
Wow.
You just float next to them.
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
What? There's so many questions there.
I don't like the color of his manatee. It's not wide enough. Trump all day, motherfucker.
Now spread it to your friends. Get out there.
Now you tell your little left-wing manatee friends about our Lord and Savior Trump. Hallelujah. Please let him go. Yeah. Like, I was shocked. I'm like, yo. But then I felt like more people were upset about the manatee than they were about the storming of the Capitol. And I'm like, yo, everybody's priorities are fucked up right now. I don't know what's going on.
Dude, United States, when Trump came into office, actually turned into a fucking reality show. You know?
It really is.
Yeah. And like I just reflect back on like the past 4 years, especially this past year. And I'm like, I can't believe this has been real life, man. It's fucking wild and ridiculous.
Yeah, well, the positive thing about this too, hopefully, is that people are going to understand how important it is when it comes to media facets and what they say and how they write things, right? Because it's been going on for a while now, and people have to get smart to this shit about what they read and how people sensationalize things, even for the side that I enjoy. Like sometimes I read these titles and I'm like, are you here to objectively tell the truth about what happened? Or are you here to get people angry and mad? Because the way you write things are fucking people up, right? And like some people will just read a title alone and they'll go on this political tirade, even though they haven't read everything.
Yeah.
And it just shows how fucking dumb people are still. They still don't understand that it's going to take for you to, as an adult, to read things thoroughly and process things. Even if you don't agree with the side, right? You still have to know what's going on for you to form somewhat of an opinion. And I'm not telling people to be experts, but I'm saying that if you are going to go on Facebook on these tirades with no base or foundation to anything that they're saying besides their feelings. And look, I get it. I'm one of them motherfuckers too. I've definitely done that multiple times in the guise of comedy. I understand. But for example, even this title that I read, right, is talking about the police officer that was killed. It's a terrible tragedy, right? But even the way they titled this, he dreamed of being a police officer, then was killed by a pro-Trump mob. Like, you know what you're doing when you wrote that.
Right.
Like, you're trying to get people pissed off. Yeah, and that's not what we need.
You're triggering people.
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, but that's kind of like the age we're in now, right?
Yeah.
With clickbait titles. Because that's what they're going for. They're trying to get clicks. They want to trigger people because that'll get them views. That'll get people to share the articles or share the tweet or whatever the case is.
Yeah. Like YouTube fun videos, Instagram, whatever. That's fine. Yeah. That's based in the world of entertainment.
Like Mr. B saying, I'm going to give $50,000 and he actually does it. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's cool.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about news outlets, right? I even had a problem with this, and I had to think about this when Trump became president. And I'm not sure if people remember this, but I think it was CNN. Well, what media outlet is Don Lemon a part of?
CNN.
He's a part of CNN, right? And I understand the sentiment. But if you guys remember this years ago, maybe I'll even put this clip up. It might still be on the internet. But when Trump became president, right? And Don Lemon had to announce it. Don Lemon rolled his eyes and he was like, Trump is president. And I'm like, bro, you are a news outlet. Leave those emotions at the door. Just report it.
You got to be objective.
You have to be objective. That is your job. I agree with him, right? But seeing that from a viewer's perspective, it's like,
for sure.
What the fuck are you
have
doing?
More responsibility.
Yeah, be a little more responsible with the shit that you do.
Journalistic integrity, right?
Exactly. And that's a fault on both sides that I see. And
absolutely.
And it's really starting to piss me off. It's like, when the fuck are we just going to just get information? It is not your job to put your own political bias when you are part of a news station.
I mean, but bias obviously exists on both sides, but I guess the thing that's most discouraging about progress on that front is you look at how divided the country is right now. That's not going to change anytime soon, man. That's not going to go away because a new president's coming into office. Those same people are still going to be here 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now. And as long as that's the case, there's always going to be a sense of division. Now, a guy like Trump is going to really exaggerate that division, right? Make it more prominent, make it feel like, yes, there's a group, it's like black and white, oil and water. These people are never going to mesh. It's either my side or that side. And to an extent, that's kind of what the country has always been, right? It's just that there won't be as much clashing or as much fighting within where you stand politically, based on kind of the circumstances of the country. But this guy was instigator, a provoker, and he just kept fueling that fire to the point where people started acting, thinking more emotionally than logically and reasonably. And, the people on the right, there are definitely reasonable people. There are very reasonable Republicans, but there are also these motherfuckers that need to be held accountable. These people in office, these senators, right? Who before Trump came into office was telling a very different story about how damaging he would be. Guys like Lindsey Graham, that motherfucker. I hate that. I hate that motherfucking guy the most. I hate his guts because he's such a fucking piece of shit, you know? Guys like Ted Cruz, right? Even the White House, what do you call her? Like the speaker or I forgot what the official title is. McEnany, whatever her name is.
Yeah,
right. They've all been on record publicly, basically denouncing Trump.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, talking about how bad he would be for the United States.
How terrible.
Yeah, and how bad they would be for the Republican Party. And then you got these dick suckers who like that. And now they're pro-Trump because
they care about their party.
Well, their party and their career.
Yeah.
But more so their career.
Yeah. It's their political interest. Like that's...
And that cannot be fucking forgotten by the people. Yeah. Because the people have the power to put them and keep them there. They need to be fucking held accountable. Just because now here at the tail end, you got the GOP starting to turn their back on Trump because now he's like a cancer to them and it's hurting them. It's costing them votes and seats now.
Yeah.
Now they're saying, we got to just get rid of this guy, like Mitch McConnell, for example, right? But the people, the everyday people who have the power of the vote and legitimate votes, not this fucking story of election fraud, right? Because here's the crazy shit about that is how can some of these people who are on the same fucking ticket argue about there was major voter fraud when they won? When they won.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so you're basically saying your fucking win was fraudulent then?
Yeah, because they're dumb as shit.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like the fucking amount of like energy you need to spend to just kill your brain cells to just squash it to get to that conclusion, or if you were to say that they're actually reasonably intelligent people, they know exactly what they're doing. What's worse? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's knowing it and knowingly misleading people, knowingly spreading misinformation, especially when you're a public servant. You're supposed to serve the public.
And the weird thing about this election too, even when Biden won, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have this a similar sentiment to this, Biden winning didn't feel like a victory because the right president was elected.
Right.
It felt like a victory because we're trying to get this asshole out.
Yeah, it's like a consolation prize almost, right?
Yeah, because I'll be 100% honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Biden. I just know he's not Trump, you know? And I know that I just didn't want this, to me, this psychopath to become the president of the United States again.
Can you imagine another 4 more years of that shit, dude? I
mean, it's insane too that Biden's campaign was literally, you don't want this guy to be president. That was his whole campaign.
It's really that easy though. It's really that easy, right? Like that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You don't need to say anything else. If you have any sense of like reason in you, you see that and that resonates with you. Like, yeah, you're fucking right. I don't want any more of this bullshit. Well, I don't want this motherfucker dominating my life all the time, dominating the headlines. Always something about him. Oh, like I've never seen a president in the news more than this guy ever. I've never seen so many people talk about a president more than this guy. And I guess that's a credit to his branding abilities.
Yeah,
right?
His genius apparently.
But enough is enough, man. It's been absolutely fucking exhausting. And one thing that comes to mind is when Trump became the president back in 2016, there were people who, there was that popular kind of theme of he is not my president.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
There was that. There were people who were saying we do not acknowledge him as the president. Okay, that's fine. But was there violence as a result of it? Was there an attack as a result of it? No, practicing your that's what freedom of speech is. Yeah. Right? No, but it's like at the end of the day, you can say that, but yet he is your president. There's no getting away around it. You're free to express your feelings and your sentiment about it, but legally, he is the president. He's been elected into office.
I don't even know how that one girl, what's her name? Tommy Lauren. I don't know how she even has such a huge platform. This girl's literally the dumbest bitch ever.
Because she says things so confidently, and like there's a base of people that it resonates with.
Fucking flat ass bitch. I hate her so much, dude.
I mean, she's fucking annoying.
She's really obnoxious. Yeah. And people have been fucking roasting her ass because she wrote this very specific tweet saying that if Donald Trump wins or doesn't win, it's going to be peaceful, unlike the left that will riot. And I'm like, what in the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
you know, but she says these things as like with because she's like an absolutist, like, oh, this is absolutely what's going to happen. Like in her mind, this is how things are going to play out.
Yeah.
And she doesn't, it's kind of weird. It's like, how do people look at her and say, this is an intelligent human being?
Here's the thing though. I think people like that actually know exactly what they're doing.
Oh,
I think they're very clear on their intention. Like they have an agenda and they're doing everything in their power, humanly possible, to execute on that agenda, which is to have a platform, to be known, and
make money.
Make money, right? And as
I
long
hope this bitch gets like a new strand of COVID. I pray, like one that's specifically for her.
And it's like, and a lot of those people, I feel like, now look, there are the cuckoo heads for sure that are off in their own world, just kind of living in almost an alternate reality, right? There are those type of people too, but I also firmly believe there's just as many, if not more, people who know exactly what they're doing. There's no misconception or no like disconnect in their mind of like, oh, what I'm doing is wrong or right. There is no wrong or right. The only thing that matters is, do I get something out of this?
Yeah.
Is there something to gain? Is there self-benefit?
Like she is literally like how she conducts herself and the things that she says, it's literally for her own benefit. She is the most, like definitively to me, she is the most unpatriotic person ever. Because she would rather watch this country go into turmoil and burn in the guise of her thinking that she's doing it for this country.
Right.
She is literally she's what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody who's against this country. She's a fucking
An
cunt.
anarchist.
An anarchist. A cunt anarchist. Well, that's how I see it anyways, right? Because if it's true that she's doing this stuff for self-profit because she knows it's going to piss people off, and even if she has like an ounce of reason, she's clearly saying things to make people upset.
Yeah, dude.
So it's like, come on, man. You are the most un-American person I've never met.
Controversial for the sake of being controversial because it sells.
Yeah.
Because it gets clicks. Because it gets views. And there's plenty of people in new media out.
She ain't even cute. People talking about she cute and shit. What the fuck are you talking about? The most basic white bitch I've ever seen in my life. This bitch is like she was born out of a waterfall, out of a hairy pussy.
Yeah,
Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, she's. I mean, you know, to her credit though, she did go on the Trevor Noah show, and they did have kind of like a little mini debate on there. And then like she'll do debates with like people on the other side, and it's like when I watch those things, it just fucking blows my mind, not in a good way. But again, it gets her attention, it gets her views, it brings like controversy, stirs the pot, and that's what she's doing. People like her, and she's not alone in doing that. There's a lot of, and I'm gonna call them culprits, you know, who do that type of shit. And look, man, it's working for them. Right? We're talking about her, right? It's playing to her agenda. Whether you're supporting her or not, as long as her name and her brand, yeah, she got you good, bro.
She got me good.
She got you.
I hope, just please, God, if you listen, God, this is 2021. I just pray, just give her a new strand of COVID, like one that you can't beat at all. Like, give her a strand of COVID that'll turn her black, so she knows what it's like to be a fucking black American in America.
Oh man,
she'll wake up every morning, look at her mirror, and then fucking say racial epithets to her face. Fucking bitch.
Speaking of that, you know, being a black person in America, the shit about Mia, what was it, Mia Ponzetto? That 22-year-old who accused that 14-year-old kid of stealing her phone. You didn't see that?
No, what's that?
Oh my God. So I think it happened at like a hotel, and basically this bitch, Mia, she like goes ham on this 14-year-old black kid, and accuses him of stealing her phone, and like charges after him. And luckily the kid's dad is there, and like he's stopping her. like, and they're confused, like, what are you talking? And he's like, and she's basically saying, she's convinced, absolutely certain, this kid stole my phone. Like, that is my, and the dad is like, is there only, one kind of iPhone that exists in the world? Like, everybody has iPhones. This one is his. He did not steal your phone.
She goes, I have a Huawei.
Yeah. Long story short, though, it turned out that she actually left her phone in an Uber, and the Uber driver had to bring it back.
All you have to do is turn on a screen to show you it's not your phone,
exactly.
bitch.
But she was convinced, and then, like, the controversy behind it is that obviously the whole racial profiling, that's what she did. But it'd be one thing if she came out and was genuine in her apology, but this bitch had the audacity to give sass in her apology,
Well, he's black. like fucking
yeah, so it's just,
asshole.
Just another one of those kind of incidents where it's like, hey, don't say that there isn't inequality in this country, that there isn't racial profiling. This shit happens all the fucking time.
I hear that shit, dude. It just reminds me of that kid who, I think he committed suicide in the jail cell because he was accused of stealing a backpack. You heard about that, right?
No, I didn't.
Well, this was like a while
one.
ago. It was a long time ago, right? But man, I really wish I could remember this name. Actually, I'm gonna look it up, and I'll put it in the actual video.
Yeah.
I don't want to fuck this up, but the kid got accused for stealing a backpack, and he got put to like Alcatraz or some shit.
Oh my!
And he didn't steal the backpack, and then he committed suicide in the jail.
Oh,
in prison.
That's, I mean, you have so much scenarios where that type of thing happens, and it's sad, man. It's fucked up. And it just kind of goes back to the point you were making of, like, when all this shit is going on, at a certain point, man, it just fucks with you mentally, like emotionally, spiritually, and you just have to disconnect, Oh,
this wasn't even, it was like in 2015, bro.
Oh, that's not that long ago.
Oh, actually, hold on. That's when he died. I'm sorry. Let's see. So it's Khalif Broder. That's what it is. And it was going around for us. So Khalif Broder was an African-American youth from the Bronx, New York, who was held at Rikers Island jail complex without trial between 2010 and 2013 for allegedly stealing a backpack containing valuables. During his imprisonment, Broder was in solitary confinement for 2 fucking years.
Why is he in solitary confinement?
I don't know. 2 years after his release, Broder hanged himself at his parents' home.
Oh my God.
His case has been cited by activists campaigning for reform of the New York City criminal justice system and has attracted widespread attention in the years following his death.
That's fucking sad, man.
Isn't that fucking sad, dude?
That is, but I mean, it's one of many, right? One of many fucking countless cases like that throughout the country.
When you hear about a case like that, you're thinking like, oh, this must have happened like in the 60s.
Right?
Like how, has time really stood still for when it comes to like equal rights for people of color is what I start to really think about. And I think for people who haven't grown up around this community and they haven't really seen this like first at hand, it's hard for them to understand, right? Because they live in a world where the law is always on their side. When something fucks up, they call the police, they call the cops over, the cops are on their side. So it's hard for them to process. And I have to understand and be empathetic with that to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Because for me, before the internet, I thought every Asian kid's experience was like my Asian experience. So when I would hear Asian people online complain about, oh, people look at Asian men like they're not really manly and shit, and I'm like, maybe you, because you're a bitch. but then I listen to their story, and it turns out they're that 1 or 2 Asian kid in all of high school,
right? And
that was their only exposure to Asian people was him in high school. They did the chinky eye shit to him. They emasculated him, make fun of him.
Yeah.
So I was very dismissive of what certain individuals would go through because I didn't experience it. So same with these people, and what you should do is what I did, is just listen.
Yeah.
There has to be some sort of truth to this if there's a majority of people saying the same thing. Unless you think it's some type of conspiracy where fucking the millions of people who are African American or Black American or Asian American, Mexican American or whatever are all in this together just to say fuck you to every single white person in this country. Like, there has to be some type of truth in it, or that you have to listen to it at least. At least give somebody the respect to tell their story, and then you can decide whether it's true or not.
Right.
But to outright tell somebody fuck you because I didn't go through it or I don't experience it, that when I call the cops,
that ain't my reality.
Yeah.
So that can't be reality.
Exactly.
Right? That's kind of the idea behind that. But it's like, dude, this shit has been going on for decades and decades and decades. Like, if you are under the impression that there is no truth to this, right? I'm not saying that every single case is a, you know, a case that shouldn't have happened, but there's a good chunk of it that shouldn't have happened the way it did. It's like, you can't dismiss that. You can't look at that and be like, yeah, I've never personally seen that in my life. Well, what kind of people are you around? Are you around like the same group and the same kind of like social and economic standing, right? In
Bro,
society?
let me tell you this quick story, man. Like when the whole BLM stuff started happening, and you know, I was very vocal about it because obviously it's a community that I've been around for a majority of my life, so I understand. My best friend is black, you know? So when I had this conversation with somebody, and it was a Korean person, and for them, they live in a very secluded area. They don't really have much friends out there, and their community is their small little church community, and that's really about it, right? So their perspective of what they see is only with the few select people that they have around you, which is very close-minded, right? But in their mind, how they see things is that, oh, I don't just listen to news fast, and because I'm away from everything, I actually see things with a lot more clarity than most people. And so the conversation came up where this dude said, he was talking about blackface, right? He goes, well, there's a line to where blackface can be offensive and where it can't be offensive. And I looked at him, I was like, well, how come you as an Asian person, why are you defining that? It's not your community.
Yeah.
So how can you define
it's not
that?
in your place to
And
say.
so the thing that they were kind of mentioning was like, okay, well, this person for Halloween did blackface. This was years before who I knew this person was, right? And I'm not getting angry. I just have to hear the story because as a comic, I'm like, this is about to be the most fucked up thing I'm about to hear in my life. Let me hear what you're going to say, right? So this person wanted to dress up as Kanye West. So
Oh no.
I'm not,
Oh, no.
I can't make this shit up, right? And look, I'm not bashing on this person because what they were saying is like, I understood what they were saying, right? And once again, this is somebody just going back to what I was saying before, is somebody who didn't grow up around the black community at all, right? But has a very, very staunch position and opinion about how this community should conduct and behave themselves when it comes to stuff that offends them.
Yeah.
Which is fucking stupid, right? So Halloween dresses up as Kanye West, shares it with the church group or whatever, right? There was one person that was offended. I'm not sure if that person was black or white or whatever. It's like, hey, yo, this is a little offensive. And their argument to that was like, well, this isn't me doing blackface. I'm trying to look like Kanye West, the artist. And that's what their thing was. And they're like, okay. I was like, well, here, let me explain this to you then. All right. For you to do that, I understand where you're coming from. However, in order for you to do something like that, you're also being extremely dismissive of what has happened in this country. It's history. You cannot erase history, especially with stuff that's happening in this country now, and things haven't really changed as much as we thought it did.
Yeah.
You're being very ignorant to the social climate, and you're telling people not to be offended stuff because your intent was in the right place, but you're also being dismissive of how people feel about the history and about how stuff like this is still happening till this day. Blackface is not the same. You are in the United States of America.
Yeah.
There are repercussions to the stuff that you do, specifically when it comes to you imitating this specific culture in this country. And I was trying to get this person to understand that. To me, it's very obvious, right? But to them, it's not. And so what they said is like, well, I would be okay if somebody, you know, dressed up as an Asian person and it looked, they were wearing the right stuff and it looked like an Asian, like somebody dressed up as Lisa Ling from Kill Bill is what they said. I was like, cool. Now imagine that they're doing the Lisa Ling thing, right? Perfect, whatever. But they get tape.
Exactly.
And they pull their eyes all the way the fuck back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it still accurate or does it offend you?
Right.
And the person paused.
Yeah.
And they go, I can see why that would be offensive, right? I'm like,
there you
so
go.
you do understand.
There you go.
You do understand because you're making a caricature of this culture,
right?
And just because, and they said like, well, when I showed my friend who's a black person, and they said that it was fine. Your one black person doesn't represent every black person in this country.
Exactly.
And also too, on top of that, I was like, if I looked at your yearbook and your photo book and a Rolodex of your history in your life, I bet you I could count on the fingers of my one single hand how many black friends you have in your life, how many black people you've been around, how much that culture has been around you. that is how little you've been incorporated into that culture. But look at how big your opinion is about how they should conduct themselves. If somebody did that to you about Korean culture, how offended would you be about that?
Yeah.
What if I told you when let's say like I don't know, we were still under Japan's rule, right? But they gave us like independence or whatever. They allowed us to speak or whatever, right? Yeah. And this might be a little hyperbolic, an example, right? But somebody told you, well, that was years ago. Why are you still upset about it? You know, would you be okay with that?
Right.
You probably fucking wouldn't.
Yeah.
It would be the same thing as when somebody sits here and they try to tell you as a Korean American about Korean culture and how you should feel about other people imitating Korean culture and, you know, doing whatever they want about it and having an opinion. You would feel the same. You're not seeing things through an empathetic lens. You're just trying to defend the point that you had a costume and you liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it comes from ignorance though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that they had ill intent.
But I didn't have to yell at them.
Yeah, yeah, that doesn't excuse their behavior and action. But, you know, you definitely took them down the right path in trying to show them why this can be perceived as very offensive.
And I think I only broke through like 10%. This was like a 2-hour conversation.
But that's a start, though. That's a start.
I just need to plant the seed.
Yeah, as long as they're willing to have the conversation and try to keep somewhat of an open mind, that's all you can really ask for, right? And as long as it doesn't escalate into like a beef or like an argument or whatever, and you guys can talk just in a civil way and reasonable way, mature way, that's all you can really hope for, man.
Yeah, and you know, they understood 10%. That's all I could ask for. It was just like, I just remember having these conversations consistently with a lot of people that I mean, they're not homies, you know, but they're like on the peripheral, right? So like the periphery, I'm sorry. And it's kind of weird. And that's where I had to kind of check myself and say like, that's because I grew up in a different neighborhood. So they're not going to know these things that are innately in me now because I've just been around the black community. My parents own a black beauty supply store.
Yeah.
I went to a predominantly black church for like 7-8 years of my life, you know, my best friends. So yeah, of course these things are going to be, it's going to be, I'm more knowledgeable to this stuff than you are.
You're more socially aware.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and there's stuff that I'm not socially aware about when it comes to other people's culture. So I could only hope that somebody gives me that same grace, which is why in that conversation I wasn't angry.
But that's the thing though, is that once you kind of have like that foundation for understanding certain things, right? You wouldn't overstep those boundaries. You know what I mean? Just because like, let's say you understand one culture better than the other, but you're not going to do something that you might that might ring as something that possibly could be offensive or possibly might be something where you're stepping over the line because you have that sensitivity already built into you. You know what I mean? Versus if you don't have that compass guide you, then it's just kind of free for all, right? It's like, well, I didn't mean anything wrong by it, but it's like, well, it is wrong though. Because
and you should recognize
reasons.
that, right? And for you to tell people not to be offended by it when it's something that doesn't affect you on a personal scale is odd to me. It's a little insensitive. Not even on a race issue, just for any type of stuff that you're going to deal with later on in the future. If that's how you deal with it, it's basically you consistently saying, this is how I feel, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I give a perfect example for that, you know, since we were speaking about the Asian thing. It'd be like a group of people walking into an Asian person's home, right? And let's say you have no familiarity with how Asians are in their household. And you see a group of people taking off their shoes and you see that and you recognize that, but you decide, fuck it. And you just keep walking. Yeah, and you just keep walking in. Like you didn't necessarily have an ill intent there. You know, it can be excused as I didn't know, but also you're not paying attention to the signs there either. Yeah. You know? It's like if everybody's kind of doing that, there must be some significance to that. Yeah. Right?
And you don't want to do that with me. I'll fuck your shit up, dude. I will literally chop your fucking feet off.
Drop kick you the moment you fucking step
I was like, oh, you want to do the widest thing then? Fine. I'll do the most Chinese thing on earth. I'm going to go to your dining table. I'm going to put my foot up like this and I'm going to chew with my mouth open. Like, you fucking bitch. Let's play this game. Let's play the fucking culture battle game right now. I will fuck your shit up. I will pee in a bottle and leave it at your doorstep. You motherfucker. I'm a country rule Asian motherfucker, dude. Play that game with me. Yeah, that was the weird part, I think, last year was me just having to have these conversations a lot, right? And I remember this conversation I had with a kid at a college, and this was highly disappointing, and it was a little, I want to say obnoxious, but it kind of highlighted an issue that I think that I was ignoring a lot because I never saw it in front of me. But there was a kid at a college, and I've addressed this before multiple times on a podcast. When I grew up, I used to say the N-word profusely. That was my shit. I used to end every sentence with it. You know, that's just how everybody spoke in Sacramento, Bay Area. Everybody knows too in the Bay Area. It's still like that till this day. Yeah. For me, because I'm on a socially conscious platform now, I don't really care to say it anymore. It's not really a big deal. I'm not. What am I going to fight for that shit? It's like, no. Like every now and then, if I'm drunk, it's gonna slip out. But I'm gonna check myself though, right? So when this kid asked me at a college show, he goes, "Hey David, like you grew up with a lot of black people and stuff like that, you know, like it's all, you know, and like, you know, I feel like hip hop culture is so it's widespread now because of music and stuff. Like, you know, when I grew up, you know, like in an area where there was like black and Mexican people too. But he's like, but you became if I said, you know, the N-word, right? And I'm like, no. I looked at him, I was like, no. Yeah. Why would you ask me that? Yeah. I was like, number one, two, I'm not your black ambassador.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't got a pass that I could just hand out. I know.
Do I have this fucking Coachella ticket for you?
Here's your golden ticket, buddy. Yeah. Now you're good.
It was such a weird. If you're listening to this podcast, that's one of the dumbest fucking things you ever asked me. You could have ever asked anybody. And so when I heard that shit, I was kind of like, what do these kids expect? Yeah. And what is your tie to this word that you feel that you have a right to say it? Right?
Again, ignorance, bro. Ignorance, man.
And then
That's
why
what
ask me? And I bet you too, you would have never asked a black person. You're asking me because you think I'm safe. I'm not the safe one. Yeah. Like, that's a dumb question. Yeah. If a culture, even within that culture, is kind of confused about the usage of the word, maybe that's something that we should just fuck off with. Like, just let them figure it out. That's their thing. There's a lot of pain towards it, right? Tim told a great story to me a while ago, and I'm pretty sure he told it on his podcast. But he said he used to say it a lot too. And there was a moment when he went into the bathroom. Tim, my bad if I'm telling your story, but if I'm butchering it. But he said that there was a time where he was in a bathroom and there was these two white kids in a stall, and they were saying the N-word crazy, like a machine gun, you know. And there was an older black gentleman in the bathroom too, and he just, you know, Tim and him kind of made eyes with each other, and you know I was kind of irritated. He kind of just shook his head like, fuck, you know, and he kind of left. And Tim was shaking his head too, but then he stopped for a second. He was like, wait, I'm them too.
Yeah, I'm guilty too.
Yeah, and this is when he was super young. And from then on, he just stopped saying the word. Yeah. Right? But that just kind of goes to show, it's like, where is our place in this culture and society? Because I think the hard part for a lot of people is that if they feel like sometimes, and once again, I'm just speaking from my personal perspective, that people are you're taking all the positive without taking the negative. Yeah. Right? Like, how come you get to have all this culture that we built up through being oppressed, right? Yeah. And then you get all the benefits, and when it comes down to helping us out, you're like, that's your problem. Right, you just walk off.
I mean, appropriation at its finest, right?
Yeah. It sucks. You know?
For sure. So, I mean, that's definitely something that people should be more sensitive, or try to at least be more sensitive about, even if you haven't grown up in a certain environment or whatever. Being culturally sensitive is not that hard if you just pay attention a little bit. You know, that's all you got to really do. And if by accident you are overstepping your bounds and somebody checks you on that, listen to it. Don't just automatically get defensive and be like, no, I didn't mean anything by it. I'm like, I didn't mean to offend anybody. Yeah, that might be the case, but if you did something that's offending somebody or a group of people, chances are you fucked up, you know? And it's a moment to be able to reflect, think about it, learn, and improve. You know what I mean?
And if for like Asian Americans out there, it's like, you know, like that one white dude that you met, he dated an Asian girl, and suddenly he's like doing Asian accents. It's like, bro, I will stab you right here on the spot. I don't give a fuck where you put your dick. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, exactly. I will gut you like a fucking fish. Exactly. Get that shit out of my fucking face. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Same shit. You know? Yeah. And I'm pretty sure when you're in those situations, it's very odd. And I've been in those situations before. Literally, I'm telling you this as an example that I've seen multiple times where I had to check somebody where this dude either grew up with like a Korean best friend or a Chinese best friend or dated some fucking Chinese girl. And all of a sudden they're coming out with like these Russell Peter jokes right in front of my face. And I'm like, hey, bro, I will fuck you up.
Speaking of Chinese, did you see recently that Alexander Wang got Me Too'd?
Alexander, you're talking about the
designer? Yeah. So there's been people who have come out and spoken against him about like how he's sexually abused them, raped them. Yeah. And this motherfucker was quiet for a few days, and then he posted on his account that he's fighting against this now. Now he's playing the victim card, and
he got raped.
No, he's saying I'm innocent.
Okay.
That I did nothing wrong, and that all these people are just telling lies, and that they're gonna do everything in their legal power to like hold him accountable. And it's like, what? Okay, it's not just one person coming out. There's multiple people coming out right now talking about this, right? Yet all these people who are friends might even have an endorsement from him, and maybe their brand sponsors them, whatever. It's kind of quiet on the matter, right?
Oh, that's when this motherfucker did some shit.
It's like, where do you draw the line with that? Like, I can understand, like, for example, if I was a fan of, let's say, I was just a huge fan of Alexander Wang's line and all the shit that he does. But then if there's kind of enough things that surface where it comes into doubt, my thing isn't going to be, yeah, fuck these fools who are saying shit. They're just slandering your name. I'm going to be like, ooh, there might be something here.
Yeah.
Right? And I think in his position, he was probably trying to think about how should he respond to this, if he should respond at all. And then when
Alexander Wang is gay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's been,
I don't want to make an assument, but I know what Alexander Wang looks like.
Yeah.
My man looked like gay Luke K.
Yeah, there's been trans and like, gay people coming out saying, that Alexander Wang drugged them, did some shady shit. And it's like other people have been around when these things were happening. And like one person even kind of alluded to the things that Alexander Wang has done and does do in jest, right? Just kind of like as a joke. And so there had to have been like some sort of awareness that this kind of shit was going on. But it kind of made me wonder too, man, like in that world of like celebrities just having that type of fame, money, and power, like how much off shit gets passed as normalcy? Oh, that's just him being him. That's just her being her. Oh yeah, so what if he roofied? They just want to party. And it's like, what do you mean, so what?
Yeah.
This motherfucker's trying to get this person to lose consciousness or like make poor decisions because their judgment is off so they could take advantage of them.
Dude, let me tell you something. I have gone to some weird ass events and parties, right? Where I've seen people who look like they are soulless human beings. I'm not just saying this just to add to this conversation. If you guys ever become in a position where you get to be, I would say, I don't know, use the word privy, but you're privy to all these type of like parties and shit. You'll see some of these weird soulless motherfuckers walk around, and how they behave themselves and the things that they do.
Yeah.
It's odd. Like, for example, like here's something great. I don't know what it is about. And I used to attribute this to white people shit, but I think it's just people with money shit. They do stuff that's out of the social norm, but for some reason it's okay. Like I've seen dudes like walk up to a girl at a party and they kind of lightweight know them. They're like, what? Like, what's up? They're not gay. There's not a gay dude walking up, and they just go in and grab a tit, and they're like, oh, that's just him being him.
Right,
and I'm like,
right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
In what fucking world would that ever be okay?
But I feel like it's such a foreign situation to be in, because it's like the person is literally flexing their power and their status on you. Yeah. Their fame, their wealth, or whatever. And you just being a normal ass person, you're not quite sure how to respond to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it's okay because he or she is,
and everybody else is doing it.
Yeah,
and
everybody else seems to just kind of be cool with it. So maybe I'm just overreacting internal, like that. It's that type of environment. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, it just makes you wonder how rampant like this type of shit is within that kind of elite community of people.
I mean, money talks. Like,
if
you're a rich person, and this is how they sometimes allow people to do certain things because number one, they are uncomfortable in that situation. They don't know anybody,
right?
And number three, they also know that and this is what people are talking about, why power is abused a lot, is because it's also on the other hand the person who this happens to that knows that they want something from this person.
Yeah,
Which I always tell people, it's like, hey, fuck all that stuff, right? Like, keep your integrity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, this person may have power and they might be able to create opportunity, but you don't want it like that. And trust me, it's going to fuck you up, you know? And because other people normalize it within that group, they make that person feel bad for feeling like a victim.
Exactly. And there might even be kind of an instance of like, maybe you respect and admire this person. And then the fact that this person you respect and admire is showing you that kind of attention.
Yeah.
Oh, he grabbed my tits. I guess I should feel special. You know, like, I guess I should like that.
They make you feel like you're a buzzkill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've been in those situations too where,
for sure,
where some dudes, like, because, you know, how we grew up, if I don't fucking know you, don't touch me. You know? Like, I've seen, like, in these parties, they're like, what's up? Look, I'm friends with blah, 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 blah. Cool. And this guy just comes up, leans on my shoulder, starts talking in my ear. And I stare at this dude with, like, a death stare. Like, yo, like, don't fucking touch me.
Bro?
You know?
Exactly.
You know, and they feel the animosity. But that's normal. That's some normal shit. I'm sorry. In my world anyways, you don't just grab my shit and lean up on me with your fucking alcoholic breath in my ear. Like, bro, I don't know you like that.
Yeah.
You know?
But again, it's that environment, right? Where it makes you second guess what your instinct is saying. That your instinct is saying, yo, what the fuck? But then you look around, everyone's just kind of like laughing and not even noticing what the fuck.
Obnoxious.
Hey, true story though. First time I went to a club, when I turned 18, right? Not like on the day of, but after I turned 18, there was this spot in downtown where they had like kind of like an Asian night, right? And for the Asian night, it was 18 and over. So you could get in, but then you get like an X on your hand, so you can't buy alcohol, but you could get an 18 and over. It's my first time going to a club, like a legit club, and like we're chilling or whatever, and I start dancing with this girl, and then two of her friends come over, and then they start getting really fucking freaky on me. And then like one of them starts like straight up rubbing, like grinding her pussy on my leg. And then like a few minutes into it, one of them straight up grabbed my dick. And I said, hello. And then I bring this up because it was like, I guess this shit happens.
Like, is this normal?
Yeah, I guess this shit.
Am I the odd man out here?
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna say that I didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? I'm 18. I got, you know, the girls are attractive, and you know, but it, you know what I mean? Like, there is still that trigger where it's like, that's not normal. Yeah. But then I second guess myself because I'm like, I'm in an environment that I'm not familiar with, and maybe this shit just kind of happened. I love clubbing.
It's great. Listen. Hey, but that's look. Sometimes people on drugs, dude. They don't know what the fuck is going on. Yeah. When I was at this bar once, there was one girl. She was drunk as hell, and this is the most. You know, when I look back at it now, especially because of COVID and sanitary reasons, I'm like, no, this bitch is nasty.
Well, now and then is a complete different story.
Like, since COVID, it's allowed me to think about how many filthy situations I've been in, and it was just completely okay. Like, fuck it. Where was I? Was this in Boston? I think I was in Boston. I want to say Boston. Young lady, you were very nice. But, well, I was very young too at the time, so we were on the same age. Yeah. But we were on the dance floor, right? And this girl, she was super touchy-feely, right? But this has never ever happened to me again before. Only one time in my life. But this girl literally grabbed my hand and put it down in her pants on the dance floor, and she wanted me to finger her on the dance floor.
Wow!
Right? And I was like, this woman is amazing.
Yeah. But you know what though? That's not like too uncommon.
Yeah.
Because people are drunk, you know what
I know
I'm saying?
for sure, but I've never, usually it's like, I mean, the dick grab stuff happens, people grinding up on each other, but I've never had a girl grab my wrist like I was a child in trouble, you know, and put it down, and she wanted me to finger her.
Yeah.
Now, of course I did, but fantastic.
I did not finger that woman.
Aged 24 years. A certain province in Asia.
Showers daily.
And there is no turf on the grass, but scorched the earth.
Yeah.
But I just remember And the reason why I never took her to my room or my hotel is I looked at her. This bitch's pupils were dilated. She was fucking.
Oh, she was on one.
On one, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, this looks a little.
Well, thank you for that, but I think I will.
You
make
are
my exit
blasted,
yeah.
and I wasn't even drunk, so I felt dirty. You know, I was like, I'm not. I don't want to fuck a girl that's like on some shit. Like this is weird.
Yeah, I actually had that too. I had a situation. Well, I didn't finger the girl, but then I was dancing with her, and she was basically guiding my hand, like she wanted me to grab her tits, and then basically like feel her up down there. And I was like, okay. This is definitely not the norm per se, but it's not so uncommon. Like it does happen when people are just kind of like into the mood and maybe into you, and they got alcohol in them, maybe even drugs in them, and they get really into it.
I know,
and shit happens. But fingering, bravo. Because it was consensual.
I just remember her I was like, this bitch is on one right now, dude. She's not gonna remember who the fuck I am.
I mean, it sounded like she was really horny in that moment. Maybe she was on E. Maybe she was.
Oh, she was for sure on E.
Yeah.
She was fucking buzzed. I don't know.
It's like she just needed your hand as a tool, like to.
Dog, you know what the funniest part? I just remember this shit was like. When I was fingering her, right, and she's like feeling it, like I'm talking about, like she's like her hand is like running through my hair. That's when I was like, yo, this bitch is like, she doesn't know where she's at.
Yeah, she doesn't.
But there was a dude that looked at me and went,
he gave the not bad face.
Like, okay, and I'm like, hey, I'm fingering a girl in public right now. This shit is nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you would think, hey, shit, I got anxiety issues, right? And I'm like, am I literally fucking somebody in public?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not me.
Well, the good thing is it's dark, and it's like loud.
Not dark enough. This guy made direct eye contact with me. He's like, bro, you are literally finger banging the fuck out of a girl right in front of my eyes. And I'm like, hey, man.
Dude, what the fuck was this guy doing? Was he just watching?
I think he was just shocked. He was like,
no, but like, how do you, like, because like so much movement and shit is happening. Like, was this dude just kind of like standing around and just watching?
No, he was
people?
dancing with his girl or whatever. I'm not sure if it was a girl or whatever, but he was with somebody else.
It
just happened.
Okay.
But this girl, though, I'm talking about, she is like, she was definitely on E, or has to be. I don't know. I've never done E, but I'm assuming fucking dilated pupils and shit. You know what I mean?
She's
like
fucking horny as hell.
Because I'm behind her because she was grinding it up on me, and then she grabs me and puts right. I remember she's just like, oh, this dude made eye contact. It's funny how it's all coming back. She goes, don't pay attention to them.
She actually noticed. Oh, man.
Because she's literally like, so if I'm behind her, she's in front of me.
Yeah.
I'm fingering her, and then she has her hair and hands up in my hair, just rubbing my hair. I'm like, damn, this bitch look crazy right now. And that's when you kind of snap out of it. It's like, she's not even trying to be discreet about the shit. And I'm like, I feel dirty right now.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't give a fuck. So, it seemed like she enjoyed herself. No harm done there, right? She wanted it. She used
Mariel's going to listen to this podcast and be like, you are a filthy human being.
You are a disgusting human being. Hey, man, you always call me I've never done anything like that.
Hey.
How dare you?
Hey, let me tell you something else. It was not my idea.
But you did it.
It was not my idea.
You participated.
Watch when this bitch turn on the lights turn on. She's like, oh my God. I thought you were way cuter. I'm like, hey, what's happened.
Oh,
and
man.
you just trapped me. Okay. I feel used.
Yeah.
Me
you just
too.
used me as a fucking tool for your needs.
Use me as a dildo.
Yeah, exactly. Glorified fucking vibrator.
Oh.
Yeah, you want me to tell you some random shit that also happened at that club?
What?
That girl grabbed my dick. I was chilling, and then I see two dudes walk in. And like, now mind you, the club wasn't popping. It was maybe like, I don't know, 50, 60% capacity, right? So like the place, there's crowds, but then there's definitely like some empty spots too. And then I look and the reason why it caught my attention, because it's like pretty much predominantly Asian, and it was two black guys coming in. So I look and I'm like, wait, why the fuck do they look so familiar? So I look a little closer, and then they walk into the VIP section, and they're literally the only ones in the VIP section, just them two. And then they're just kind of chilling and kind of scoping the place out. And I look and I fucking realize you would not believe who the fuck it was. Fucking Gangstar. It was Guru and Primo.
Really?
I was like, what the fuck is Guru and Primo doing at a 18 and over Asian nightclub where it's not even popping?
They like Asian girls.
That's what I figured. But, you know, me being a fucking fan, I was like, yo, this is my fucking opportunity to meet gangsters.
You should have just came up to me.
I did.
Excuse me. My back pussy very tight. you wanna my back pussy very tight.
So I took the opportunity to engage them. And you know how they, at the reserve tables, they got those little placards that says, you know, reserved, whatever. I just grabbed one of those and then I ripped one and I went up to the Yale. Hey, Guru Primo, I'm a huge fan, you know, been a fan of your music for years. Can I get a signature real quick? Because, you know, back then we didn't really have the smartphones or whatever. It's still like signatures. So I got their signature on the back of a reserved placard that I just ripped. And then they were there. I slapped hands with them, told them thanks, and then they stuck around for maybe like 15 more minutes, and they just bounced. I think they came to hunt, but
they didn't like what they saw.
Yeah, they didn't like what they saw.
Do you still have that signature somewhere?
I don't know, dude. I have no idea what I did with it. I mean, it might be in like a storage box somewhere. Yeah, at my parents' place, but
it's crazy.
I don't remember. Yes, it was so fucking random.
This fool was looking for a little Asian honey.
So, you know, it was like a great first experience into like the club. I was like, yo, man, I grinded with 3 girls at once. One of them grabbed my dick. I met fucking Gangstar. Yeah, I was like, this is a fantastic night.
Now I'm like questioning, like, should I leave that part up? Does Mario listen to this podcast?
You can't cut that out. That's a great fucking story, man. Hey,
that was this was years ago.
That's what I'm saying.
It was like 10 years ago.
It's not like you did this yesterday.
It's like 22 years old.
You did this yesterday, I'd be like, ooh, Dave. You gotta
yeah. No. This is like 22 years old. Yeah. Like young David.
Yeah, no, I mean, come on, man. We all did.
It was a glorious day. It was a glorious night. I just couldn't believe what was going on.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's definitely a more unique experience than the most people's club experiences.
You know what's so sad too is like the girl had to be on drugs for that to happen.
Hey, whatever the case is, she was enjoying herself. You were enjoying yourself.
I'll take what I can at that age.
Yeah, the other guy was enjoying himself watching.
He was shocked. I just remember his eyes. He was like, "Okay," and I looked at him like, "Okay."
I can't believe this is going on either, buddy.
Is this how they do it in Boston?
Yeah,
you know,
I love Boston.
I know, Boston is great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
on that note,
that wraps up this episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. You can find Edric at Ed2. Write down in the comments what you thought about, you know, the state of this country and how this podcast ended with pussy grabbing. Consensual.
Irony.
Consensual. We'll see you all next time.
All right, peace.